There are other people building things. I think this agentic world we're talking about. I'm really looking forward to our next speaker, Elliot Norrevik. And yeah, over to you, Lovable.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and it's been very interesting to hear all of you other speakers. But yeah, so my name is Elliot. I am now building a startup which is in stealth, but previously I worked at Lovable. And I guess most of you have heard about Lovable by now. If you haven't, it's AI that lets you create apps and websites just by prompting. And while at Lovable, I saw us going from $10 to $100 million in ARR in the fastest time in history, which was a very great experience. Learned a ton. But taking a step back and talking a bit about me. So I started programming at a pretty early age. And then I started my first company when I was 14, which used ChatGPT to create customer service agents for e-commerce brands. And I built that for around a year, and then but it didn't really take off, so I started working on some other stuff and built like a AI-powered document editor before that was a thing. And I posted it on Twitter, and it went pretty viral. And because of that, I got poached by the founder of Lovable, Anton. And I was like, you should come work at Lovable. So I started working at Lovable, then still only 16. And I worked at Lovable for around 7 months, and I just left Lovable a month ago. And at Lovable, I saw firsthand how the web was changing. Like the people are starting to get their information from ChatGPT rather than from Google. And there are exceptions, of course, where people want to just hear like actual human stories, in which case they go to sites like Twitter or Reddit. And right now, around 2,000 of the world's websites account for 50% of the internet traffic. I think as agents are the one interacting with websites, this number is only going to increase to, and I expect it to be something like 80 or 90% in just 5 years. And the web is still built very much for humans. So you have like HTML pages. Like websites are basically just HTML pages with some visual components to look nice. And maybe this is good for humans. Like we like to see stuff, as Noah talked about. But agents and LLMs are primarily trained on text, and they don't like these visual HTML pages. There are, of course, like computer use and stuff like that, but it's still very inefficient and expensive to run with our current LLMs. So we need to rebuild the web for agents. And right now we kind of try to take our current web and adjust it to work for agents, but that's really kind of dumb, considering that the internet is primarily primarily gonna be used by agents in the future. So we need to rethink how we build websites and tools on the internet. And so 1 year ago, Anthropic released the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. How many of you have heard of MCP? Yes, yeah. So it's maybe like half or something. The Model Context Protocol has gone pretty, become pretty hyped in the last years, or last months. And has been going around this like memes that MCPs is the only technology where there's more builders than users. And I think that's somewhat true, but I also think that that was true for a lot of the early internet stuff, like back in the 90s. In most technologies, there's gonna be like, in the beginning there's a lot of hype and like you see, oh, you build this and build that, but like no one is actually using it. And then when the hype is like gone, that's when the actually useful stuff is being built. And I think what the model context protocol is basically that it lets the LLM connect to a server which lists a bunch of tools which the agent can use and call to execute actions or get information. And it's text-based, so it's what the agents like, what the agents use. And I think we're gonna have to rebuild our web and websites to be LLM accessible and to use MCPs. So one example of a company that has, you can turn on the screen, one company that has, I'm just gonna get this, one example of a, is it on? One example of a company that has turned their website into MCP and is Mintlify. So what Mintlify does is it makes it super easy for companies to create documentation of mostly their developer products. And right now, if an agent wants to like read documentation, it has to search up or code documentation. It has to search on the web to find the documentation about the code. And this, if you are a programmer, you know like this, they're very bad at this, and they're like the LLMs are not good at all at finding documentation, just using scraping and crawling websites. What Mintlify has done is they've turned their documentation about their own product, and also so that the developers using Mintlify can expose their documentation through an MCP, which makes it way easier for the LLMs to understand and read the documentation. So I'm gonna show here how we can use the Mintlify nice. So in Claude we can add MCPs so that Claude can connect to and read. Let's name this Mintlify. So then we go to Claude and we add this MCP. And now we can see that, okay, Claude can access Mintlify. So we can just ask it to like, yeah, read the Mintlify docs. And like, if it were not to be connected with an MCP, it would have to like search to find like Mintlify docs, and it's really not effective for LLMs to do it to search. So MCPs makes it way easier for agents to interact with the internet. And I came here just from San Francisco, and what like is of course like San Francisco is at the frontier of most technology, and what I've talked to a lot of my friends who are in Y Combinator, they said like they are starting to pivot from a human-based interface where it's for example a company that creates like talent search. So it uses AI for talent search, and they started out as like a dashboard where a human would go in and like type, okay, what kind of person are they looking for, and they would search with the API. But what they told me was that they are gonna pivot now from being a human-focused company to being a LLM-focused company. So instead of building like a dashboard where humans can interact, they are actually building just an MCP which the LLMs can interact with. So I think we're gonna see a lot of companies soon that are like MCP first companies instead of the traditional human UI layout. Yeah, that's here you can see the response. And yeah, that's it for me. Thank you.